It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
And sponsored by smashingpennies.net. Get 10% off your order with code Geocache Talk Network. They are perfect to put in a geocache. Big thanks to Baker Six Clan for our graphics and our featured patrons, P001, ADK Sarah, Eastern Girls, Fox and the Hound, K-Blast, Hockey Zombie, Geode Andrew, Direwolf 821, Deuteronomy 31.8, Emily Renee, and our new patrons, Nervous Energies, returning patron Husker Medic, and Soccer Kicks. Ooh, got a new one there. So, all right, here we are. We got a show tonight, and we've got our guest, Steve Weeks, a.k.a. the Travel Bug. Steve, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's an honor and a treat.
Thank you. Yes, we love having you on. We've had such a great relationship over the years. It's gonna be fun. And Jesse's a big fan. So
yeah. Steve knows that. Me and my whole family are. We've worn out. We should have had to rebuy the album by now. We've used it so many times.
Well, we're going to talk about all the different items of the that you've been involved with, Steve, of late, and we'll actually kind of wax nostalgically about the good old Travel Bugs here in a few minutes. But we got to do a little bit of news, and then we'll get right into the meat of the show. But first, a little news. So we are basically 2 weeks away from, I'm sorry, let me restate that. We're basically 1 week away from Podcast to Hope on December 2nd.
Oh
so yeah, I guess we're less than 2
That's
weeks.
2 weeks away. Yeah.
It's 2 weeks.
It's not next weekend.
No, but it's not 2 full weeks. It's 13 days essentially.
2 weeks from yesterday. Let's not get crazy. Yeah.
There you go. And we are starting to we got our first, we encourage people to give during Podcast to Hope, but if they don't give Podcast to Hope, they want to give early, it counts.
Yeah.
Go to podcastofhope.com. And if you're not going to make it to the live show, but you want to give to St. Jude, and you want to give to St. Jude and also have Podcast of Hope sort of get credit for your donation. Because as we said before, the donations go straight to St. Jude.
No,
we don't touch the money. It goes directly to them. But we sort of get credit for our pledge, or what do you want to say, or our goal. We're trying to raise $13,000. And so we had somebody give recently. And if you give early, the prizes that we do have that we give away once an hour during Podcast to Hope, we take all the people that give early and they're all kind of put into that first hour. So
Right.
you're still eligible to win a prize.
Yeah.
We do after Podcast to Hope, we do a giant random.org every hour that people gave, because when you give it, sort of timestamps it. So we go back through and and that's why people have cleverly, they'll give every hour. They'll take whatever money they want to give to St. Jude,
Yeah, put it up,
divided by 8, and then they'll give once an hour to kind of try to be in the, it's like the if you buy a bunch of tickets for like a giveaway, and you take the tickets, you put one in every bucket hoping to win, so
yeah.
But that'll be great. So yeah, again, 2 weeks away, but it's a Saturday, not a Sunday for that. So and then I think that's what we're going to cover. There's did you see where they changed the needs archived? I don't know, Steve, if you happen to see that as well. They no longer call it needs archive and needs maintenance. They
I think it's just the wording they're changing on it.
They changed the wording. Owner intervention needed and reviewer notification needed, something like that.
Yeah.
Does it really
I forget
matter?
the exact terminology, but I don't think that changes the functionality of anything.
No.
I think there was, some kind of hesitation around putting needs archived and needs maintenance. A lot of people, like Gary and specifically, are afraid to put needs archived on there because he thinks it makes people mad. So they change things like that.
No, have you ever done a needs archive, Steve, on a cache? Or
I haven't, and the caches I've planted, I intentionally plant very near places that I mountain bike.
Yeah,
and so I'm checking on them constantly because I'm always afraid. Like I don't want to cache, So like if a cache hasn't been found in a while, I'll pop over. In fact, just 2 days ago or yesterday, I was on a bike ride and I was like, this one hasn't been found in a while, so I'll head over, just make sure,
Yeah.
So.
No, that's awesome. So we're gonna. So I guess that's really all the news for now. So we're gonna kind of get into it, and we're gonna. I guess I'll let Steve explain. So I've got it downloaded, and we're gonna play the song in a little while. But do you want to kind of lead up to that and let people know the song will be when it'll be available, and kind of let's tell you what, let's keep that. Let's because I want to play it. If we talk about it, I want to play it. So let's not do that. So I do have I want to talk about the genesis of the travel bugs, and I know we've talked before, and Steve, I know you've been on, but we got some other things to talk about as well. But let's talk about the genesis first of the travel bugs. And I remember way back in the day contacting you and going, "Hey, we'd like to have you and your band on. It'd be fun."
Yeah.
So you want to explain to people how the travel bugs came about?
Sure. Yeah. Like a lot of geocachers, I started geocaching with my kids. It was very a tradition with our family. We went out when they were younger quite a bit geocaching.
Right.
And then as, the kids got older and had different interests, they kind of moved on to other things. And I was geocaching a little bit, but I just couldn't figure out, like, how do I plug into the geocaching community? And I'm a musician. And so I kind of decided, let me see if I think I could do like an album of geocaching music. I think that would be fun and people might enjoy it. Right. And I didn't want to confuse people who already were fans of my other music by just saying Steve Weeks, because then they'd be, if someone's not a geocacher, the music doesn't make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. So I came up with this sort of pseudonym, this band,
right.
The Travel Bugs, and I came up with 7 members, 1 for each continent.
Yes.
And I released Travel Bugs in the wild for those members, wrote backstories for them and all. And just, And what you're saying, Gary, happens to me quite often, where someone will contact me and say, "Hey, we'd like to have the band," and I have to tell them, "Well, the dirty little secret is there is no band; it's just me." So I did that just for the joy of it, honestly, and it's led to some amazing opportunities. It's not like a career or a moneymaker or anything, but the opportunities it's led to have been remarkable. So I've really. And every now and then I put out another song.
Yeah, that is awesome. Which we'll get to that. But wait, there's more. What is funny is that you have connected with musicians. Well, you kind of connect with musicians because you do other music, but you connected with other musicians doing geocaching music, which is kind of funny because I wonder if people go, "Oh, that's the whole band." It's like, no, they do their own thing.
Yeah.
And we've just collaborated. So tell folks a little bit about how you came about to collaborate with the European guys.
Yeah. So in 2019, I was asked to come perform at the Geocoin Fest, UK or Europe. I think it was Europe or UK, but it was in Manchester, England. And like you mentioned, the guy contacted me saying, "I want a band," and I said, "Hey, I'm not a band. The good news is I'm cheaper. The expenses are cheaper to get me over there.
Yeah.
But the bad news is, I can do a set, but it'll be, an acoustic set or whatever." And he really, really, really wanted a band. Right. So it turned out there was a group of guys in Belgium who were also doing geocaching music. I'll give them a little plug here. Their name is Bugsy Travels and the Ammo Boxes. I kind of refer to them as the Ammo Boxes because I think that's a great name. And they have a slightly different take. I write original music about geocaching. They kind of parody popular songs and change the lyrics to be about geocaching. Yeah. And basically they actually approached him saying, "Hey, we see that you're having live music. Could we also come and play?" And he said, "You know what? Why don't you back up Steve so that he can do a full band show, and then you guys can play as your self." And so that's how I hooked up with those guys. And in all honesty, I kind of think of them as the travel, but because we've done it twice now, played together, and they're super nice guys. I love collaborating with them. We are fast friends. There's probably not a week goes by that I don't communicate with them a couple times. Just
that's awesome.
We just have we have the same sense of humor, the same, likes and dislikes and stuff. And so they really are, I think, well, if there is a band that's the Travel Bugs, they're the band. And then I've actually sat in with their band as an ammo box. So I think I'm a
you're part of the ammo.
Yeah. I'm an honorary ammo box as well. So
yeah. And we had them, the Bugsy Travels, I always refer to them as Bugsy Travels, but you're right. It's Bugsy Travels in the ammo boxes, I guess. But when we did Worldwide Cache Con during the pandemic, they sent me like music videos because we did that 6 straight hour Worldwide Cache Con, which we treat it more like there wasn't a live show. It went live, but it wasn't.
The truth was, it was the first and only ever virtual mega.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We can say that because it's not true, but it's okay. That's what we considered it anyway.
Right.
And we tried to get it. I did the I did a little concert in there, virtual concert, and Jan from the Bugsy Travels.
Yep.
Sat in with me we did that
live,
the worst cacher.
Yes, right. Yeah. He played with you on one of the songs, and then and you played a live concert to wrap up Worldwide Cache Con. Still out there. If people want to go watch, you can go to YouTube and do a search for Worldwide Cache Con, and you'll find it. There. Yep. And we interspersed in like commercials, like some of the vendors sent us their little commercials, and we still put those in, sort of make a full show. I think we did a couple sets, I guess you could call it, of live type, but most of it was recorded, which we don't normally do that, but we did some recorded stuff. But we within that, we put some of those music videos that Jan sent me. So that was great fun. But and then and you've played at several places, and I'll let you talk about some of the other ones that you've played. But it worked out. We got you to come for Mingo Madness and play live at Mingo Madness, and that was a great thrill. I enjoyed that because I got to meet you guys personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I know these guys. You know,
That was fun. That was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great fun, and it was, I think it worked great, and it was just fun. It's something you don't really get to do too often, but now you got to go on you got the big time. You did get to do, you didn't have to play the little Mingo things. You got to go to 8. So, probably because of, somebody hearing what we did. No, I'm kidding. But they had you out to HQ. So what was it like? What was the experience of going to the 20th anniversary and playing at the event?
So that was a really great opportunity. Of course, it was supposed to happen in 2020.
Well, of course.
And so the reason it happened was when we were playing in Manchester, the guys from Belgium and we played in a pub that night. We played at the event, and then later they had an after party, I guess, or a side event at a pub, and we were playing there. And one of the lackeys from HQ was there, and she saw us, and she's like, "We got to get you guys somehow." It was in her mind, that she had to get us. So that party seemed like a good fit. So they lined up everything, and we were supposed to play in 2020, and of course, COVID prevented that. And then in 2021, everybody was still a little nervous about traveling, so they didn't want to do it because they worried people wouldn't come. So 2022, they finally decided to pull the trigger, and we went for it. And once again, the guys in Belgium and we practiced online, sent things back and forth. We had played once before, so we kind of had a little bit of a head start.
Right.
And one of their guys couldn't come to Seattle, Nico. And so that's why I sat in with them. So they backed me up as a travel bugs. And then I sat in on rhythm guitar. And I even sang lead on a couple songs to allow Jan to solo a little more. So it was a nice opportunity for me, Gary, to repay those guys because traveling to Manchester was a really big, wonderful thing for me. And I worked really hard to kind of make that happen. But those guys showing up and being a backup band really made it a whole other thing. And like I said, we'd become great friends. So when they came to the States, they were in my shoes. They were like, oh my goodness, we've got to travel, via air and somehow get there. And we got to figure out equipment. And so the roles were kind of reversed because in Manchester, they drove a van onto the channel thing and they basically drove to Manchester. So they had a van of equipment and they didn't have to travel internationally. They didn't have to get on a plane or anything.
Right.
So I was sort of their boots on the ground helping out because they had to rent equipment and figure out lodging and stuff like that. So it was a nice opportunity for me to repay them. And I guess your question was, how was it? It was really neat because it was right there at the Space Needle, a lot of people, it was a great, and in all honesty, I think it might be the biggest stage I've played on ever because it was a really big professional stage. I mean, they brought in a sound company and so it was a really unique experience getting to do that. And I had never been to an event that big. Now, again, you say, oh, little Mingo, but Mingo's like a big deal. I mean, that's, I mean, when Hans came over, he visited me. When he came over for that, he had never been to the States. So he came out to Colorado and said, they're doing the Jasmer thing.
Yeah.
And so caches in the United States are very important to people doing that because there's a lot of old caches. So I took him and his wife hiking to find these old caches because I like to hike. And so I did some reconnaissance and found these caches ahead of time and said, okay, let's go get these things. But you know what they really wanted to do? We went to Mingo.
Yeah.
So they come to Colorado, and I'm like, oh, we're heading west, right? I'm gonna show you these beautiful towns and waterfalls. They're like, no, we want to go to Kansas.
That's right.
They want to go to the side of the road in Kansas.
But it's an important spot for geocachers.
Yeah.
It's a very important spot. So I don't want to poo-poo that event there because it celebrates like a really unique thing. Because to them, that was the one thing they wanted to do. Of all the things that they were non-negotiables, like we are going to get that Mingo cache.
I mean, you couldn't. We take it for granted. One, because it's in Kansas. It's just Kansas, right? There's nothing. Yeah. It's Kansas, in the middle of the country. But two, we don't have to go to like another continent to get the oldest geocache ever, and everybody else does. We just think, oh, it's Mingo. Everybody's got Mingo, Yeah. But imagine if you go to visit them, and the oldest caches in the world happen to be in their country. Nothing would stop you from getting there. So,
right.
Yeah, exact same thing.
And I love the fact that you also did Casher Nick. This is
Kansas is awesome. I'm not saying it's not. It's just a normal state. I'm saying.
I wonder
as a traveling musician, I spend a lot of time in Kansas. So I just played in Wichita this past.
Wonder where she lives. I'm kidding. Yeah. We love you. Glad you're along, Casher Nick. Nicole. So and the other part that was cool is you did a video at Mingo.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So there's a video out there if y'all want to go check it out. I guess we should.
Really enjoyed that. We had a good time. He wanted to drive out there, and I said, it's like 3.5 hour drive to get there.
Yeah.
And I said, we're going to do that. We're bringing some equipment. I wrote a song, and it's sort of like a road. It's like those old like trucker songs, pedal down and all that sort of stuff. And so I wrote a song, and we went out and we set up a little drum set, and Inga, his wife, filmed us, and we found the cache, and we basically did a music video of the travel, which for those of your listeners who haven't traveled across Kansas, you can watch the video, and there's a lot of footage of driving across Kansas because it's a pretty state. Kansas gets a bad rap because it's not, it's a long drive in the prairie or whatever, but it's a really nice, peaceful drive. And we really enjoyed it. So we took footage of us driving across the prairie. They had never seen that. People from Belgium can't comprehend that there's that much open space because it's so populated where they are. They were amazed. They're like, this is unbelievable. So we filmed all that. And that was a really wonderful experience as well.
Yeah. But we all do joke. We make our jokes about, all our different states, and I love that drive too across Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I love the open. It kind of is like one of those open roads, like driving across Montana or some of our western states where it's these kind of big sky country kind of thing. You get that kind of. I put up on the screen for audio listeners too, if they want to go check out your Travel Bugs website, which is travelbugsmusic.com. And
that's got everything. That's got the video we're talking about. It's got, a lot of the stories of Seattle and everything as well there.
Absolutely. Then we won't have time tonight to get in too deep into your other music, but I think we need to. I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention that I would, like you mentioned before, you call it your Steve Weeks music. So you're still playing in, because you've done some children's music. I guess kind of tell people a little bit about, just to kind of round out the music side of it.
Yeah.
How you got involved in the music you normally do, and are you still doing that music and that kind of part of your musical world?
So I have several little irons in the fire. One is obviously the geocaching music. I also do family music, and that is one of the things that has allowed me to travel around the country the most, honestly, because I got a lot of play on satellite radio. And that's just under my name, Steve Weeks, and it's steveweeksmusic.com for that. If you have,
I'm going to put that
kids and interested in family music, but, and I still do that. This past summer, I toured all over the place. I've had the joy of performing in all 50 states as part of that. And then I also perform. One of the things I love to do is, and Jesse will remember this. If you can think back, Jesse, to when you lived in Colorado, we're kind of obsessed with craft beer here and breweries and things like that. I play probably about once a month in breweries or distilleries. I'm not really a bar musician. I don't like the late night rowdy, whatever. Mm-hmm. I like sort of the chill coffee shop, distillery, wine bar, brewery vibe. And I do that about once a month as well. And that's more like acoustic covers, and I'll throw in some acoustic originals as well once in a while. And I really enjoy that because I've loved getting to explore Colorado and other states and meet people and just see these little craft breweries and whatnot. So those are kind of the three things I do music-wise, geocaching, family music, and then, singer-songwriter, I guess it would be called.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
absolutely.
The interesting thing about that is that you are like, you're big time now. I mean, you really are. You're like huge, Steve. We're thrilled that you remember us, the little people back here, and that you've given a little bit of time to the.
You guys knew me when I had money and a job. I'll be playing in the Las Vegas Sphere soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, there you go. I assume you will because,
of course.
I mean, we were talking one day, and you're like, "Well, I'm gonna be playing in Iceland here soon." It's like, Iceland? You're gonna go to Iceland and play? So, tell folks about your the Iceland World Music Tour you got to go on.
Yeah, so that actually has a geocaching connection.
Cool.
Even though I don't play geocaching music there, again, when I traveled to England to play for the geocaching event, the cheapest way to get there was Iceland Air. And Iceland Air has a deal, at least they did back then, where for no extra cost, you can turn your 3-hour layover into like a 3-day layover because they want you to see the country and spend money.
Right.
So on the way back from England, my old college roommate went with me because he wanted to kind of see what it was like to be a traveling musician. He's not even a geocacher. While I was in Manchester, he went over to Liverpool but on the way back, I booked one show up in Akureyri, which is in the north of Iceland. Cool. And so we had a 3-day layover. We drove up to Akureyri. I played, and it was just absolute magic. One of the most wonderful experiences I've had. And so then later, the next year I wanted to go back, but then that's COVID again and everything got delayed. Right. 2022, I contacted basically it was like a pub with a hostel and said, "Hey, could I come back?" And it was more of a bartering thing. Like they would give me food, drinks, and lodging to play. Right. So, and I said, "Yeah, I'll come back." And I asked them, "Is there anybody else that does what you do?" And they said, "Oh, over in the east in Egilstaðir, there's a hostel that does the same thing." And so I booked that. Long story short, I ended up 2022 booked 4 shows: Reykjavik in the west, Akureyri in the north, Egilstaðir in the east, and Vík in the south.
Oh yeah.
And then so I played it, and my college roommate, I took my wife with me this time, and my college roommate and his wife came back for part of it. Loved it. It was absolute wonderful experience. Every show I had, the people were so nice. We just left there on cloud 9.
Awesome.
And so the next year I said to my wife, "Hey, maybe I could do that in Scotland. Maybe I should go to Scotland and see if I can play like a little tour over there." And she said, "No, I want to go back to Iceland again." And listen, she loved it so much. And I was worried because I thought, well, while I'm playing, is she going to be bored? But the people there are so nice. Everyone just pulled her in like family. And so we went again. And this time I got a 5th show on a little island off the coast of Iceland called Vestmannaeyjar. Yeah. And so I ended up playing 5 shows over there. Loved every minute of it. Great experience. one of the more special places I've been. I haven't been everywhere, but I've been lots of wheres. And that's a very special place. I mean,
oh, that's awesome.
Get there one day. Sure.
That was I almost last year, or I'm sorry, almost earlier this year did the Iceland. I've got like an Iceland trip, like many hours I've taken to map out a trip and do the whole like rent. They have these really cool vans you can rent that have, that have beds in them and refrigerators and all this kind of stuff.
They have many options there. Like they have little tiny things that just have beds, and they've got bigger things, and it's very popular to rent things and drive the ring road, because then you don't have to get lodging. If you decide to go to England, let me know. I can tell you, we've been there 3 times now, so I can tell you what some things that you should include on your itinerary, I guess.
It's exciting, and I'm trying to talk Jesse into coming with me and family, Christy, and
you should do a geocache talk on the road.
Yeah,
that's
like podcast thing, and like connect with geocachers over there. Like
absolutely,
while you're on the ring road, like find out the geocachers and like
on the road geocache talk.
Awesome.
We could just, and it doesn't have to be just Jesse, Christy, and Miley, possibly. I don't know, but yeah, we would do the whole, have a little van tour, and because you basically, if people don't know, in Iceland there's a main road, and the cool thing is it's called the ring road because it makes a big circle, so you can kind of stay on the main road, and you can kind of get off and branch off in little towns, and I'm fascinated. I want to go, and
you'll get your farthest north. Geocache, maybe, I don't know. Maybe
it will be
something.
It will be for me,
because when I was in Aukerary, they said, "Oh yeah, the Arctic Circle's like like 60 kilometers north of here." I mean, you're very close to the Arctic Circle at that point.
That's crazy. Gosh, I'm excited. And Houston, Texas. Dave mentioned about volcanoes, because that's something that before the show, it's really.
I have a geocaching connection to that. So the volcano that's active right now, as we're talking, is in Grindavik, which is on the south coast, and that's a town I've stopped in to have lunch. It's a little coastal town. But this last trip I did, when I went to that island that I told you about, Vestmannaeyja, they have a very famous volcano eruption that happened in 1976 or 79, something like that, where they had to evacuate the entire island.
Wow.
And the lava flowed through half of the town, and then it stopped and hardened. And so now this beautiful little coastal town, it's sort of like their Nantucket or their, something. It's like a little island, beautiful little harbor island, has a mesa in it, because the lava flow was like 40 feet tall, and then it just stopped and hardened. So they suddenly have this mesa, and I went up onto the mesa to find a geocache, because there was a geocache up there, and I wanted to get a geocache on Vestmannaeyja.
Sure.
And it's really interesting because it's this old lava field. So it's these black rocks, but now that's 40 years ago. So all these like beautiful scrub oaks or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fall. So it was all the fall colors. And then everywhere there used to be a house or something, they have a marker with a sign that says 20 feet down is the hotel, whatever. And it will tell you about who, or this is, Olafur Gunnarson's, house. It'll talk about him and his family. Like, no one died. They got everyone off the island, but they mark all the houses that they lost in the lava field. So as a geocacher, geocachers love to get out and see. It's really nice when the cache is somewhere interesting, and that's an interesting place for a cache.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. And it's, that's a volcano eruption that's very, very famous in Iceland.
Yes. Yeah. Owen from Kansas City, he said that Grindavik is closed right now and evacuated for.
Yeah, they've got a magma flow underneath the town that's just, it's taking out people's pipes and stuff. There, people might not be able to go back for months. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Oh wow.
It is. Yeah, it's very sad. I mean, you don't
forget how big nature is until something's happened.
Yeah. Nature's in charge.
Very active. Iceland is like, nature is still active there. The plates are pulling apart. The North American plate and the European plate are pulling apart, and so it's very active geologically.
Crazy. Yeah. I still want to go. So, yeah. Houston, Texas Dave is like, sign me up. So
Yeah.
I definitely want to go. So
it's on the top of my list as well.
Yeah. We're gonna do it. Now it probably won't be until 2025. Next year's is fairly booked up. Jesse's got his anniversary. Then I guess you got
to make it to Alaska.
You got to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Never been to Alaska, so this will be hopefully at the time it'll be our 50th state. We'll finish out the U.S. with that.
Yeah, you'll like that. It's big. That's a big place.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah. We're in that same thing like Gary, but with Alaska. We've been researching everything. My wife watches videos about Alaska all the time, and so we're excited about getting to go. It won't be till summertime, but we're ready to get. I mean, we're geocachers, right? We're always thinking about the next place we're gonna get to travel to. So,
I loved his idea of, and we got other things to talk about, but I love the idea. You'll love this. So, Steve, this will give you another glimpse into the mind of Jesse. So, Jesse wanted to do, because they're gonna. Are y'all still going to that sort of private island? That not
which
private.
one?
You were gonna do a
on our last cruise.
You're gonna do an event on an island, and HQ was like, "No, you're not putting an event out here. There's nobody there. There's nobody out there."
It's Coco Cay. The Royal Caribbean has an island that they own. So when we went on the cruise, I was like, "There's no caches on this island. It's a private island." I was like, "Okay, there's no cache. There used to be an Earth cache there, but it's gone."
He went.
So I threw an event in just to see if they'd let me host one of them. I'm like, "What? People could get here if they wanted to." And they're like,
I'll be there.
I was
Right?
like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah, I guess not.
I knew it wasn't gonna fly, but I'd kick myself if I didn't try. Right? Who knows? Maybe the reviewer would have been asleep that day and not noticed it, and just did it anyway.
Let it slide through. Yeah.
It didn't work.
No. Well, let's get to some music. So, one thing I want to do before we get to the premiere, and I'll let you kind of explain about the premiere in a moment. But for folks that don't know, like we mentioned before, is that Steve's been a friend and a partner of Geocache Talk, really from the beginning. Actually, going back all the way to my days on the old Cache and Release podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But and as people will see, and I don't know, Steve, if you'll see at the end of the show, I use a little nugget that you gave to us for one of our anniversaries. You played, and I use that as our outro music. But before that, though, I've got another song I want to play. This will bring back some memories, I think, for some folks. At least it brought back memories for me. So let me play this, and we'll talk a little bit about how this all came about. So here we go. Where you are.
Tuned in, signals clear, coming through Geocache Talk. A voice on the line I hear, coming through Geocache Talk.
It's funny because it still doesn't sound right to me, because whenever I listen to podcasts and and the bumpers and everything, I always have it sped up. So I've always heard that song in my head sped up, because
really?
I hear it sped up all the time,
1.5 or whatever.
So whenever I hear it, the actual I was like, man, this is going slow. What?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess tell people about we that song was played many times over the years, and we're into our 8th year on the podcast. But way back in the day when we first started, you were gracious enough to let us have a song. So do you remember? I know it's a long time ago. Do you remember making that?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I remember that. That was a lot of fun, and it was an honor to be like, oh wow, I get to do a song, a theme song.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember. I know I wanted your voice in there. The beginning of the song had like
When a working car,
or wherever you are. I was,
yeah,
and I think I talked you into that. Like you were like, I don't know, Steve. I'm like, no. That would be so cool to have your like start it off with your voice.
That's why we used to do it.
Wherever you are. And then I know I can't remember, but I'm sure you probably provided a little bit of framework. Like I wanted upbeat rock song or something like that. So and since then I've done probably 4 theme songs for various podcasts. So I did, awesome. And those have been really fun. So I did one in Norway, Geopod Norge.
Oh yeah. They're sort of friends of the show, I guess.
Johnny and and he was like, oh, I want something really kind of very easy, breezy, sort of down, not downbeat, but it was a totally different thing. So that was much more. And he wanted me to like sing in Norwegian in it. So he had to like coach me because I don't speak Norwegian, you know. So
right.
Oh, wow. Geopod Norge, alt geocaching, you know.
There you go.
So that was awesome. Fun. And then I think the last one I did was an Australian one.
Oh, yeah.
Geocaching Down Under.
Down Under, yeah.
And the girl that is the host there.
Yeah.
She was like, oh man, I'd really like it to be like reminiscent of Men at Work.
Right.
Oh man, from the 80s.
Australian band. Yeah.
We started listening to Men at Work like all day long. And then we put a kookaburra laugh at the end of the thing. And
that's awesome.
And, that was again, they're all fun. Those are very fun assignments because it's like, and then I did one recently for a girl, Geocaching Adventures, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that was more like country. Audio. She wanted Garth and Brooks and that sort of thing.
Right, so right. Really yeah. She does an audio podcast. Yeah, that's cool. No, it's good fun. So I had to play that because it's a little nostalgia, but
that's a blast from the past.
Yeah,
it was the first one. I think it was the first one. I think so.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, but and you've done some songs, and a lot of them are on the on the website, and you've you raised some funds by doing that where people could pay for songs, and Fiona Finds an Earth Cache is a great song. Love all your songs. I mean, really, and I'm not just saying that because I want more from you in the future. No, I'm kidding. No, we really do. Jesse and I honestly love it, and they really are good. They really are good. They're great songs, and
well, it's fun to tell cachers that don't know about it.
Yeah,
that we get to be the one a lot of times, like just in person events or whatever. We've done this several times too. Like, oh wait, you've never heard of the music? Oh yeah, there's music for geocaching too.
Yeah, and I mean that makes my day because that's really the whole point. Is I want to do songs that geocachers like. I mean that's the whole.
Well, and it's one of those things. There's not well, we've talked about too, but that's pretty much it. There's not a big circle of geocaching musicians out there, right?
Right.
So when you have something like that, and they're fun and they're easily clean, family-friendly songs that you can play anytime, anywhere, and they become part of the fabric of a lot of kids. And it's been out for a while now, so some of those kids are becoming young adults too. So
definitely,
it's interesting. And they they're so catchy. Once you heard them, it's. And I think most of the people listening have before, but it's funny how it's like become a staple in the landscape. It really is.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
So we were so for a little background on the song, I just wanted him feedback on because I knew he'd been to Iceland and things. He told me, he goes, hey, I've got a song that I'm going to premiere, and I'll let you kind of explain how we got to the point tonight where we're going to get to premiere it. So tell people about the song and when it'll be available, and we really do appreciate so much that we really kind of tooted our own horn that Geocache Talk is going to be the premiere. So we've got a pretty good size audience that are listening and watching, that are ready for the song. They're tired of hearing me talk, but can you tell people a little bit about how the song came about and all about the song?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, I don't produce songs. I'm not a prolific geocaching musician. I have the album Found It, which I put out, which has like 10 tracks, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I've got like 5 singles that I've put out since then. And some of them were very pointed. Like you said, Fiona Finds an Earth Cache. That was actually commissioned by a cacher in Scotland who really wanted me to write a song about earth caching. That was her joy. And it was part of me trying to fund my way to get to go to Manchester and perform. So, but this song was one I just had in the back of my head. I kept thinking it would be fun to do a song about the accomplishment that I will never get, to be clear, that people find 100 caches in one day. And that boggles my mind that can even be done. But I thought, wow, what a fun song that would be, like just recounting the day, and not only talking about the day when you find 100 caches, but rattling off all the caches that you found, like going through all 100 caches. And the whole time I heard it as being, this needs to be like pop punk, sort of fast rock, fun. I want it to sound like someone is sprinting. I want it to sound like someone is sprinting around town. And then and as always, I like to work in a story. So I tried to work in a story, a little bit. And actually I debuted it live. If you remember, Gary and Jesse, at Mingo. I debuted this song live. I played it live, and I had sheets of paper because I had just written it. I had literally just writing the thing, and the papers were blowing off. And I'm like, how I can't remember. And
oh my gosh.
That was the first time. And then I played it again and it was just solo on the acoustic guitar in Seattle. And it went over well. And I thought, I should probably record this. I should, this might be one worth recording and getting a studio version of. So
we got the studio version tonight. So let me do a little special news, and we're going to play the song, and then we'll talk about it afterward. So here we go.
Son, gotta hit the ground running. Got a lot of caching to do before the day is done. Planning all week, now I'm on my way. I'm gonna find 100 caches today. First on the list is a burst to find. Second to traditional ammo can hide. 10 micros, I'm making good time. Wave at the webcam cache as I pass by. Next up is a travel bug hotel. Drop off a travel bug, fare thee well. Then I find 6 more just driving around town. Then a nano, then a virtual, that still counts. Then an ammo, micro, nano, lamppost. 3 little bison tubes in a row. Time for a quick, where I go. 30 down, 70 to go. I gotta run, I'm on a mission. I can't stop, time is ticking. I'm going through Tupperware faster than my grandma's kitchen. Won't slow down, can't delay. Gotta keep moving, I can't stay. Planning all week, now I'm on my way. I'm gonna find 100 caches today. That rock looks really suspicious to me. Take a closer look, it's a hide and keep. Then a challenge cache and a build bottle stash. Answer some questions and log an earth cache. Then I find 10 more, I'm picking up speed. I'm moving faster than a muggle can see. Hop into a mega just to say hello. No time to chat, I gotta go. Then an ammo, micro, nano, lamppost. 10 little bison tubes in a row. Pack out some trash at a seat tote. 60 down, 40 to go. I gotta run, I'm on a mission. I can't stop, time is ticking. I'm going through Tupperware faster than my grandma's kitchen. Won't slow down, can't delay. Gotta keep moving, I can't stay. Planning all week, now I'm on my way. I'm gonna find 100 caches today. Next is a puzzle cache I solved weeks ago. I get to where I think it is and oh no! A DNF, how can this be? I'm in the wrong place. Recheck my calculations, where was my mistake? Let's see, find the words from the storyline using the key. Then substitute a number for the third letter in each. Oh, that 5 should be a 9. I see where I went wrong. I think I've got it right now. I'll find it later on. Gotta run! 20 in a row to make some geocache art. Then a letterbox. I'm really on the run. Then a multi-cache. That only counts as one? Just dorking up for a little night caching. So I find 3 more using my flashlight. Then an ammo, micro, nano, lamppost. 3 little bikes and tubes in a row. Time for a park and grab, 99 down, 1 more to go. Time is running out, and I still need 1 more. I think about that puzzle cache that I solved before. I get to the spot, and I look all around it. Was I right this time? Wait, what's that over there? I gotta run, I'm on a mission. I can't stop, time is ticking. I'm going through Tupperware faster than my grandma's kitchen. Won't slow down, can't delay. Gotta keep moving, I can't stay. Running all week now, I can say I found 100 caches today.
Yay!
Love it.
So I don't know if you guys remember when I played that at Mingo, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. I was just on my acoustic guitar, and I start playing it, and I worked in that little part at the end where I'm like, wait, am I going to get the last one, right?
Yeah.
And of course I'm like, this is a positive song. Of course you're going to get the 100th cache, right?
Of course.
But I forgot that a lot of my songs don't work out all that well for the cacher.
That's right.
And so it never occurred to me that when I stopped for a second, because I'm playing, I'm like, oh, people seem to be enjoying this song. And I was just like,
yeah,
am I gonna get the last cache? And I stop and I look, and everyone is dead quiet.
Yeah.
Because they're really worried. Like, because I'm thinking, oh wow, they think. And when I went in to found it, like, people kind of erupted, like,
yeah.
Yes. It's like, well, it's 100 caches a day. I'm not going to leave you hanging on 99. But I guess for a second there, they thought maybe it was going to be one of my songs where the guy doesn't get the 100th cache or whatever. So
right.
I never thought about that before, but yeah, it didn't work out for all the cachers in your songs.
Yeah. You got one guy who's lost in the wilderness.
Yeah.
He's out there to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Then
and also, I wanted to say the guitar solo in that shredding guitar solo, that's not me. That's Jan from Bugsy Travels.
Oh,
awesome.
Very cool.
Because he's a really good lead guitarist.
That's awesome.
And I asked him, would you do lead guitar solo in this? And he's like, oh, yeah. And so I sent him the song. He played along with it. Then he sent me the solo back. Then I plugged it in there because we like collaborating.
Yeah.
And so I threw so just a plug for him. Jan, he's the lead guitarist and lead singer for Bugsy Travels.
Yeah.
That's his guitar solo.
They're awesome. Yeah. Somebody was mentioning while we were playing it. Well, UDAC mentioned it. UDAC mentioned about where the GIF filmmakers at. And
they were saying it would make a perfect soundtrack on some of the GIF videos.
It would. Now, the interesting thing about that, and I'm sure, Steve, you're still, willing if people want to collaborate with you. Steve and I collaborated on one.
That's right.
I'm still bitter to this day.
Meryl Streep one.
I am. And I thought, I'm a shoe-in to be a finalist for GIF. I mean, I put together this great music video, and it's out there. If people want to go watch a jaded GIF submission,
failed GIF attempt,
you can go watch it because it's gold, because it's one of Steve's songs that I did tweak a little bit. Maybe that's why I didn't make it, Steve, because I had to tweak it for the music video. But nobody at that time, nobody had ever had a GIF submission that made it where people could see it. There was never a GIF final video that had been a music video. I thought, I'm a shoe-in. Nobody's ever done it. And of course, I got snubbed by the Academy. And so Yeah, I'm like Susan Lucci. I keep getting rejected, but
We
I
thought
agree.
we did the Mingo Madness one for GIF, but they didn't have GIF that year.
Right. So see,
Yeah.
So we did that one. Oh, we should submit that, and it turned out that was one year there wasn't a contest or whatever.
I think I think they're HQ. I know we have fans at HQ. So this is out to you, Geocache and JT Coffee and many of our other friends that are at HQ. That I think y'all just hate music. That's my opinion.
To be clear, they booked us to play at their party. So
Oh, that's true.
they flew in three people from Belgium.
You might want to go back one day. So yeah, I guess that's we should put a disclaimer that that's Gary's opinion, and it's not the opinion of Geocache Talk Network and its affiliates.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I just I enjoyed putting that one together, and like you said, I've there've been a few. Razzie, you're giving me a hard time. Like, yeah, hey, maybe I was the one that put the video part together, so it wasn't the music that caused the music to get dumped. It was obviously mine was the problem. So anyway, but yeah, great times, and yeah, I'm sure if you'd like to do a GIF, get with Steve. You need to, obviously get the permission of owners, and
Which is not hard to do, because I'm happy to, if people want to use it for things, I'm always. I put it out there for the benefit of the geocaching community, so we
appreciate that.
I'm not
back when YouTube started to become real strict about their copyright. In fact, we probably will get a copyright strike, and I have to send him a note saying that we have permission from the owner to play his songs on our show, and then it usually gets pulled. But so the recorded version, again, we got to premiere tonight. When will the recorded version be available to the public?
December 1st, it'll be released into the wild, and it'll be in all the normal places, Spotify and all those,
Cool.
So yeah, December 1st, you should be able to find that. It's already approved and everything, and out there in the digital distribution, but I put a date of December 1st on there probably that day it'll be available.
But you got to hear the recorded version first here, folks.
That's right,
live on Geocache Talk, and
live recorded version, but that's okay.
Yeah, the live recorded version, the premiere of the song. So, as we start to wrap up things tonight, where Steve, I mentioned about your couple different sites, and we'll put it in the show notes as well. And I put it up on the screen for folks. Obviously, you go to travelbugsmusic.com for the geocache side, but I also love all your other songs too, Steve. So if people go to steveweeksmusic.com, and do you post on there at all, or where can people find out where you're playing? Do you post those anywhere?
Okay, so I hate to flood you with
no, go for it.
with URLs. The schedule for when I play in breweries and stuff. So on steveweeksmusic.com, there'll be my schedule for family music, which there's nothing on there now because that's a summertime thing usually.
Yeah.
But offthekitchen.com that's where sort of like an umbrella website I have for a lot of things that I do. And if you go to music and performance, you'll see and right now I've got a couple of shows
like that, Steve,
in
Off
Colorado.
the Kitchen.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And if anybody's interested, again, I hate to flood you with URLs, but Jesse, you might be interested in this too, or both of you might, with the craft beer. A buddy of mine and I did a project, and we're trying to figure out where to go with it. And that was about playing in breweries.
Yeah.
Colorado, and the website there was coloradosessions.com. And that's where we traveled to Colorado breweries. I would play a show. We'd interview the brewer.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
And then we'd do a music video, and I'd write a song, and we'd kind of capture the whole thing, the road trip, the evening, the interview. And then we'd sit after the show and have a beer and talk about like, hey, what do we think of this brewery? How'd the show go? That sort of thing. It's just
that's awesome.
Sort of a buddy road trip type show. It was a mashup with craft beer and music and stuff. So, and there's some awful low budget, goofy skits at the beginning. My friend was like, we got to do skits. I want to do a Lord of the Rings skit, And so we pretended to be hobbits. It's low budget. If you like low budget stuff, it'll be funny.
Well, I'm absolutely going to check that out.
And you got a few caches out. You geocache under the Travel Bugs. Is it?
Yep.
Right. The underscore travel.
Yeah, it's like
underscore bugs
name there. The underscore travel underscore bugs. And I've been putting out caches that are based off of the songs. And I'm a big geo biker. Like a lot of the caching that I do and all the caches that I plant are very convenient to mountain biking because then I can check on them and it makes a little adventure. And so I've got 5 caches out there now that are based on the songs. Yeah. And I try to theme them after the song. So like the intro track, I tried to make it a good introduction to geocaching. The took nothing, left nothing sign log. I made sure it was small enough that you couldn't leave anything. It just could sign a log. The most recent one I did, people are really enjoying, but it's a little difficult. It's a puzzle cache. It's the Lost Cache of Forgotten Gulch. And it's a saga. It's a Viking saga that you have to solve. And that's the one I checked on just the other day because I was like, it doesn't get found that often. But every time people find it, they leave a great big long log about they write their own saga. Like here's my
that's awesome.
Which I really appreciate when people throw their own creativity back into it and have fun with it and not just like, oh yeah, good cache or whatever. They're like, oh, I was trudged through the Forgotten Gulch and it was storming and but I'm trying to make them fun. I'm trying to make all the caches fun and thematic to the song. So there's Geo Girl, which requires you to research some females who were pioneers in industries that are important to geocachers, like cartography and satellites and
GPS
mapping and GPS and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Intro. Thanks for the cache. Took nothing, left nothing. Sign log. And spoiler, which has a spoiler image. And now this Lost Cache. Eventually, I'll get to. I was asking online. I asked people. Back when I was thinking of writing this 100 caches in one day, what if I did a cache based on this? What should I do? I mean, there's a lot of challenge caches that say you have to have done this or that. Someone said it was brilliant. It's evil. They said you should do a great big box with 100 bison tubes, and you got to find the one that.
Like a patience cache.
That was just evil, but like one of the bison tubes has a log in it. The rest of them are all just herrings or whatever.
Jesse, you're the challenge cache expert. From the song, could you? I guess you can't really. You couldn't create a true challenge where you have to find a nano in a bison tube, and you can't do container type stuff.
You can do container sizes. You can't do them all in one day. You couldn't do a challenge now that would say. You have to find 100 caches in one day. They wouldn't let that fly.
Because
that's not allowed.
No, they don't like time limited.
Pre-moratorium.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
As long as it's fun. And also, I don't want to do a cache that no one finds. I mean,
that's true.
Yeah. If it's too hard, I want it to encourage people to geocache. But anyway, I've got so many songs. My one I really want to do is remember that song "Worst Cacher" about it's sort of a drinking.
Song? Yeah. Where
I've been trying to find
couldn't find his bottom.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a brewery here in town that'll let me put a cache in their brewery. Yeah. And I want the cache to be a book where people can write their worst DNF experience. Like share it. So you sit down, get a beer, and like look and read the worst failures. Right. It might be interesting. I would love to sit down and say, let me tell you about this horrible DNF I had.
Tell you my story.
And then, since it's sort of a drinking song, you're in a pub and that's my plan. We'll see if I can find
I love it.
Got to find a club who doesn't look at me sideways when I say geocaching, right? When I'm glad geocache here. But you find there's, as long as you find the right person who wants to collaborate and be creative, and it can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, I'm surprised people find the Forgotten Gulch one because it's like Terrain 21, right? I mean, that's
I thought about that, Gary. I thought I got to make this so hard, and then I was like, oh no, I don't.
No, I can't.
That's being mean. I don't want to be mean about it. So instead, what I made it. I mean, what I did do is I intentionally picked a location where the signal bounces around a lot, and everyone talks about that. They're like, oh yeah. 40 feet this way, 30 feet this way. Eventually, I had to give up and just use my geosenses because that was intentional. I picked a place where, but and the puzzle I hope is fun. I tried to make a puzzle that's fun, not like, oh, this makes me nauseous. Like one that people will be like, oh, this is kind of fun. I get to go. It's all about Norse mythology. It's all about you.
That's awesome.
You gotta, like look up stories and
I love Norse mythology. Yeah. Oh man, so awesome. Yeah. Time has been fleeting, and we're at the end. But Steve, thank you so much. Thank you for being a friend of the show over the many years, and it's meant a lot to Jesse and I for you to have been available for us.
Oh yeah,
for different reasons.
Likewise, I'm always happy when you guys I'm always like, oh, I've got some news. I've got something to talk about. So I'm always happy to be back on. You guys do such a good job, and I always feel very welcome. And so and it's fun. This is always fun. I sit out here in my little studio, I craft beer and talk to you guys. It's good to catch up with you guys also.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
That's a really nice part of it, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It's with technology now. It is nice that we can get together tonight. Folks love the show tonight, and I didn't spill any beans because I could have, because we have been working hard on Cache Fest, and I have been told numerous times, and Jesse will remind me the fact that I cannot talk about Cache Fest other than to say Cache Fest is on July 6th. It's the week of July 4th. So come to Cache Fest in Oklahoma and come enjoy the week with us. And again, thanks. Jesse, any final word before
we've talked about this many times, but it's still fun to find cachers, that don't know, like we've done with Treasure, the movie. People don't know that there was a geocaching. And when you introduce somebody, a geocacher's been in the game for a while, introduce them to something new about our hobby, they always love it. And you've added that cool thing of music. And people generally, they like it. They're going to continue to play it, but it becomes, like we talked about, a habit. It becomes part of going out and having fun. Is you're like, oh, we're going geocaching. You got it on the travel bug. So it's neat that we've gotten to get you to come on and do that other stuff, and it's neat what you're putting out there. Kind of in the geocaching universe. So really cool.
Yeah.
Keep in touch. Let us know when things happen, and we'll also keep in touch with you when things are going on, and maybe we'll collaborate on something in the future as well. So.
Sure, something always comes up,
Yes. Thanks. Good night, everybody. And we go out on our normal closing. And Steve, you'll like what I grabbed for the Geocache Talk closing. So as we say, good night to everybody, and we'll see you guys next time. So good night.
May your finds be many, and your DNFs be few. May the terrain and difficulty both be less than 2. And whatever it is you're looking for, may it find its way to you. And may we all meet again.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.